Hi, my name is Sarah Greisdorf. I'm the founder of Holdette, and we make professional workwear that has real pockets for women. We believe in supporting women from the moment they get dressed in the morning. So we start that with the clothes, and we're continually trying to find ways to support women beyond that moment as well.
Awesome. So, you are going to be inspiring many young girls with this interview, as I'm sure you already have in college and beyond. So, who has been your biggest role model or influence starting Holdette and being an entrepreneur?
There was this really whole big generation, I would say, of female founders who really spurred the direct to consumer movement. And so that's like Emily Weiss, the founder of Glossier, and Tyler Haney, the founder of Outdoor Voices, and all these women who, you could listen to their stories on the How I Built This podcast and just think that could be me one day. And so I would say they've been the most biggest inspiration to me getting started was, if they could do it, like Tyler Haney was 24 when she started her company, why can't I? And that, but then on a more day-to-day basis, I've had really great mentors, especially at BU within the entrepreneurship space and within the computer science department, who really believed in me and made me think that, actually I could do this, even when it seemed really hard most of the time.
Wow, that is so cool. So, do you work with a business mentor currently?
I have a lot of mentors. I often say to people, start getting mentors as often and as quickly as you can. And what I like to do is update my mentors every 2 weeks. So basically, every time I meet with someone, I ask if I could add them to my mentor and update email list. And so they get an email from me every 2 weeks telling them what I'm up to. So you always stay fresh in their mind. And so I have a lot. Earlier in 2020, I was communicating a little bit more regularly with Sadie Kurzban, who founded 305 Fitness, that I absolutely adore. And I think right now I'm working with a woman named Alexis, who's a VC, and a woman named Lillian, who founded a company called Pack Up and Go. So I have a lot of mentors. Those are the ones I'm communicating probably with. Alexis and Lillian are definitely communicating. I can talk to them every week. So they're probably my most current ones, but I have a lot of people who hear from me pretty regularly. And then some other people that I just email back and forth with a lot. There's this company called Her Campus, which is really big on college campuses. And the founder of Her Campus, well, one of the founders, her name's Stephanie. We communicate over email sometimes. So.
Wow, well, that was some great advice right there to just have so many mentors every 2 weeks. That's really cool. I mean,
It
that's a
kind of
great
keeps you needing to come up with updates. So it keeps you working.
definitely. What would you tell a younger teenage girl who feels like she's too young or too inexperienced to start a company, but she really wants to start her own business or kind of try entrepreneurship?
hmm I think now more than ever before, you literally have access to so much information because of the internet. And I sound like I was born pre-internet. I wasn't. I was born in 1999. But excuse me. If there is something that you're curious about getting into, a field that interests you, just start Googling, just start reading about it, and kind of dive in. I studied computer science in college, and then I decided to launch a fashion company. And so I like to say, if I could do that, then, anyone could probably switch any kind of industry. It was actually so funny because I heard a quote this morning, which was that you're supposed to reach your peak in your career at 65. So I have 40 years to go, you have 50 years to go, you know what I mean? And so it's why not start now, so that how much higher could that peak be if you just got the ball rolling now versus getting it rolling later? And I feel like the same wisdom that I feel applies to retirement accounts should definitely apply to entrepreneurship, which is if you start investing in your retirement account at 20 versus 25, you'll make hundreds of thousands more dollars by the time that you retire. I feel like it's the same with entrepreneurship. If you start now versus start in 7 years, how much more could you learn from that additional time spent into it? I mean, I've been coming up with ideas since I was in 5th grade. I used to sell baked goods to my classmates on the playground, and until I got shut down for whatever food safety violation potential. But like I started learning back then, right? And that was not all that sustainable of a business at the time, but I've been, learning lessons the whole time. And also every business idea that you have does not have to become like a million or billion dollar company. You know what I mean? Like you can learn a lot just from like making something and selling it to your friends and seeing how it goes. So there's really like nothing in your way because the internet is at your fingertips. So, get out there and start trying and see what you can do.
For sure. There is no time like the present, no time to waste, clearly. So, can you talk a little bit about how you ended up founding a fashion company from computer science and what the startup process was like?
I first had the idea my senior year in high school. I was like honestly taking a shower one day, which is where I had my best thoughts. So if you're ever like, oh, I can't come up with an idea, like just go take a shower. And I was like, how come whenever I leave my house, I have to carry my phone and my keys and my wallet and all of my other belongings in my hands or in a purse, and none of my male friends have to do that. And so I was going to be heading to college at Boston University pretty shortly. So I got to be you and I started talking to all my female friends about it. And they're like, yes, I experience this problem every single day. You have to do something about it. And so my biggest advice as well, on top of the things I've already said, are to do something free at the beginning that can kind of replicate what you might want to do down the road. So I really had no intention of starting a clothing line when I started out, but I started by just aggregating clothing with pockets in a newsletter. I would like design it in some design software and then just like upload it to MailChimp. And then I had like a landing page where all you could do was subscribe to the newsletter. The whole thing was free. I might have paid like $10 for the domain name. And then I just started sending out a newsletter every 2 weeks or so, which aggregated clothes with pockets in it. And that kind of went on for a little while. And then we got into a summer accelerator at Boston University, where I went and basically took what I did in the newsletter and put it into like a full-fledged website so you could like see the clothes all the time. And that then went on for a little while. And then I reached the end of the summer and basically was like, I'm never going to make any money because we're not really selling anything. And so ended up doing a lot of customer interviews and market research, and really like for the next like 9 months or so, I didn't really have a solution that I loved. I just like adored the problem. Like this like idea that I could solve this pockets issue was like so exciting to me, but nothing that I was working on was exciting to me. And so basically got to last May, so like 14, almost 15 months ago, and did a pitch competition, which was called Dolphin Tank. So it's like Shark Tank, the show, but they were supposed to be nice to you. And the iteration of my business at the time was that I was going to aggregate clothes that had functional pockets from designers who were already making clothes. And I basically pitched that to them, and then I was able to have like an ask. And so my ask for the judges was like, does it make sense to manufacture the clothes ourselves, or should we let the independent designers manufacture them? And they were like, no, just manufacture yourself. You'll cut out so much risk. And so I basically walked away from that event being like, well, if I'm manufacturing myself, I might as well design myself. And at that point, I might as well just launch my own clothing line. So again, I was studying computer science. So just like anyone who's getting started, in high school, I knew nothing about starting a clothing line. All I knew was that like I wore clothes. Like that was it. And so I got a book. I started learning how to design. I got connected to a fashion professor at the Rhode Island School of Design who really taught me a lot about, the getting started process. Ended up connecting with a fashion development agency in LA, started to build up my team. And now here we are like about 6, 7, 8 weeks away from launch. So we're finally getting there, but it was an uphill climb to say the least.
Wow, that is quite the story. And I saw on your website you can pre-order your first suit. That is so exciting. Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, we did a crowdfunding campaign to fund our first run back in May. And so, yeah, we have some orders through that. You can now place an order on our website. So we're wrapping up. It's pretty exciting.
Wow, that is so cool. So it sounds like you had a pretty crazy ride to get to finding where you are now. So what do you think is the most important first step in starting a company?
Yeah, I think what I said about doing something free is the most important, because you do not want to pour money into something that like isn't going to be, potentially like really getting you on the road to success. There are a lot more ways that you can like do things for free if you kind of are like clever about it. So we weren't again had no intention of like selling clothes originally, but like just aggregating clothes in a newsletter. Like I literally would just scour the internet, find clothes where the model's hand was like kind of in a pocket, and then like put that into a newsletter. And that kind of allows you to start testing demand, who's subscribing to the newsletter, who's clicking on, and what are they clicking on. Stuff like that allows you to start getting data, and that can kind of inform your future development process in a way that if you had just jumped in and started, spending money, that, maybe you wouldn't have picked up on these more intricate details. I think when you don't spend money and when you don't have any money, which I didn't really in high school, so I'm guessing most people don't, you are forced to be a little bit more scrappy about the whole thing. And I think that really behooves you down the road, because like one day, hopefully you will have a lot of money and you still want to be scrappy. You still want to make the most of every dollar. If you ever take on investors, they're looking for you to, for every dollar you put in, getting X number of dollars out, you know what I mean? And so when you can learn to be scrappy at the beginning, it'll really behoove you in the long run.
Definitely. I think a lot of people can forget to look into their market beforehand. So that's great advice. So as an entrepreneur, there are tough times and fun times. So what would you say is the most disappointing part of entrepreneurship, or the most difficult part maybe that you weren't expecting, and also the most rewarding part?
Let's see. I'll start with the most rewarding part, because that one's really easy. Most rewarding is like every time I tell someone about my idea, or like they engage with our company and they're just like so excited about the problem that we're solving and that we're like actually doing something about it. I can't tell you how many women are like, oh my gosh, like I've been like looking for someone to solve this problem for so long. I've never had pockets. Like, thank you for doing something about it. And I'm like, yes, like you're welcome. That just brings me so much joy. I mean, I think we all have some kind of superpower, and I think my superpower is like connecting people and networking, and kind of simultaneous to that, like developing community and bringing people together on this common issue is just like the most rewarding thing in the whole world. I would say the most like difficult part, I think, is that nothing is spontaneous. Everything takes time. You have to develop so much patience to be an entrepreneur, I think, because I mean, really, I think that like 95% of being a CEO is like sending emails. So people like aren't just like always sitting on their computer, like immediately responding to your emails. You know what I mean? So you're getting stuff out, you're waiting for stuff, you're getting stuff out, you're waiting for stuff. That's like all being an entrepreneur is. And so it's a lot of hurry up and wait, like, get a lot of stuff done, push it out, see what happens. And that was a real lesson for me, especially like in computer science. Like you code something, you see the change. You code something, you see the change. Like running a company, it's not like that at all. I think there's a lot of like the same analytical skills, but as far as like the time it takes, it definitely takes a while. And then also, I think it was a hard lesson to learn like when to rely on others and when to rely on myself. There's a lot that like I was getting started and I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know how to do any of this. Like, let me ask other people to help me. And when you do that, you're then like putting the responsibilities in other people's hands instead of your own. And so, there's room for things to not be done exactly the way that you would want to do them, which, is a lesson in delegating, but it's also like, you know, sometimes you need to take responsibility for the things that you just want to get done. So kind of learning how to balance that as well, I think has been a lesson I'm definitely still learning, but I've definitely had to learn as I've gone on as well.
So I know you said patience is definitely a key point, which I couldn't agree more. What else do you do when you do face setbacks or to get through tougher times?
Yeah, I think that's where the community aspect comes in, especially getting connected to other founders who are in a similar position to you, because they're going through the exact same things that you are. And I mean, if you believe in your product, then ultimately every setback is, you can view it as one step closer to success, right? Because if something had to go wrong, like at least that what's happened, you know what I mean? Now you can move on to the next thing, and things are going to continue to go wrong. But a lot of times, difficult things are what allow us to like figure out what the correct way to do something is. And it's possible that if that thing hadn't gone wrong originally, you would have ended up, further down the wrong path. So I've tried to use every, setback as a chance to, recorrect and make sure we're heading down the right path. But yeah, definitely having other people to kind of guide you through. And I think that's why mentorship is really important as well, because they've all been through it before. They could say, oh, that didn't work, why don't you try this? This is what I did. And that's kind of how you keep pushing. But yeah, if you believe in your idea, like setbacks are, I don't want to say irrelevant, but like, what are you going to do? Like, stop working on your idea? And like, no, probably not. So you just kind of like push through, even though it sucks. And sometimes you cry and it's okay.
Best advice yet. So, basing off of the mentorship, I saw you have a book club, podcast, live streams, and then Back Pocket. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, Back Pocket is our membership community for women who are entering the workforce for the first time. That's like our target market. We're kind of just trying to build off that mission of supporting women from the moment they get dressed in the morning through the clothes and then through everything else. So we've, especially during the pandemic, tried to create ways for women to connect who might not have otherwise. And so we have a podcast club, which is like a book club where you just discuss a podcast instead. We also have a book club. We do a lot of professional and personal development events. And then you get like a mentor who's in your field, who can, coach you as you, get into the workforce post college. So it's been a really good time so far, and it's nice. We have a lot of girls based in Boston, so we all went to the beach yesterday for a little socially distanced hangout. So it's been cool to see people from various aspects of my life that I didn't think were ever gonna have a chance to meet, connect, and become like really good friends. And it's crazy that we're all able to connect at a time when we're forced to stay in our houses nearly all of the time, but we've really been able to build really great relationships between our members and their mentors, and it's been super fulfilling.
That is awesome, keeping people together, especially now more than ever. How do you address gender and diversity in your workplace with your team and just in general in entrepreneurship?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, obviously we're like a very female focused company, but we define that as, anyone who wants to be part of the community, can be part of the community. We just ask that, they respect the intentions of the platform, but we try to be, inclusive rather than exclusive. Right now, all of our team members identify as women. So we have a very female-focused workplace and environment, which has been lovely. I can't say the company will probably be like that forever, but it's been like that to date. So we have a lot of strong female energy propelling everything forward. But we've also tried to be really intentional in who we're bringing on from like a more like racial diversity perspective. We have 9 team members right now, including myself, and then 4 women of color. So we're trying to, keep it, what is the word I'm looking for? We try to, there's so much more like value and like bringing together different perspectives that when everyone is the same, you just don't really get as far. So we try to, place a lot of value on that, especially as we bring on new team members. And trying to be mindful of who's in our community as well, and how we can, invite other voices in that might not otherwise be present.
Definitely. That's awesome. It sounds like you guys have a really great team. And I saw on your website, on the team you guys each did, like, if I was in office supplies, I would be. That was so adorable and funny. It really got me thinking what I would choose. I still can't decide.
Yeah, that took a while. We try to keep it fun. We always start our like team meetings with a really like random question that's just like pops into my head. So I think last week we did like, if you had to dye your hair today, what color would you dye it? Like, how much would someone have to pay you to dye it? So we just try to keep it, fun and lighthearted while we're trying to get our work done.
That is great. I love that. Well, going off of that, I have our last questions. I have a couple fun ones. So, when you guys accomplish something or you have a big success, what do you do to celebrate?
There's a playlist on Spotify called Celebrate Good Times. I generally just put that on and like just throw like a little dance party. It's hard because we've like always been a remote team, but we do a lot of celebrations and gifts and everything in our group chat, and celebrate wins when you do group calls as well. But yeah, I think highlighting those moments is really important for keeping up, team morale and when things can otherwise be kind of hard. So, but yeah, mostly that's Spotify playlist.
I will have to check that out. So, answering your own question, what are some books or podcasts, movies that you would suggest for younger entrepreneurial girls to watch or read?
Yeah. How I Built This, for sure. The podcast is like hands down, I think, the best entrepreneurial podcast that exists. My favorite episodes are Sarah Blakely on Spanx, the founder of ClassPass, founder of Swell. Let's see, what are the other good ones? The Knot, I really like that episode. Yeah, anyways, basically all of them. And then let's see. books. The book I just read, we just read it in our book club. It's not really an entrepreneurship book, but I think it's really helpful and kind of thinking outside the box, would be Untamed by Glennon Doyle. I'd really recommend that book for, anyone, especially I think women, or, women, girls who are becoming women as they get older and are faced with a world that, sometimes doesn't want them to be there. I think that book is really helpful and kind of opening our eyes to what else is out there. If anyone's building like an app or a website, there's a book called Hooked, which is really good about making like sticky products that people come back to a lot. You Are a Mogul by Tiffany Pham is really good. I think that'd be such a good book for like girls that age. It's just about her like entrepreneurial journey. So that was really good. Those are the ones that are top of mind, I think.
Wow. Well, that is plenty, I think, to get started. Thank you. So, lastly, can you share a funny story from your career?
Me and two of my teammates took a like road trip to New York. I woke up at like 4 a.m. and then went and picked them up, and we went to New York and we went to a trade show, and it was my very first trade show. We were objectively the youngest people there, but you got to pick your title. So my badge said that it was like Sarah Greisdorf, CEO and founder, Holdette. And so I like definitely did not fit in with anyone else that was there like trying to source fabric, but we were just like having such a good time going around and like feeling everything and trying to source fabric for our suit, and just like learning a whole lot. And we then went to the whole day and then drove back to Boston. It was like a 4-hour drive, Boston to New York. We did both ways on the same day, and just like got to really know the team, like those student team members really well in a way that you don't really get to when you just talk like once a week as a team over Zoom. And I just think really fondly back on that memory. And then we also do like a yearly Valentine's Day party. So well, I guess 2 years ago, like was like sort of hosted by Holdette. It was mostly by me. I didn't have the team that I have today, but this year we did a Valentine's Day party as well. And I always make it like low key, like kind of a productive event. So we do like goals for this week, goals for this month, goals for this year, goals for 5 years from now, and we eat like lots of candy, and you just like mingle with people, and it's just like such a good time. I just like love getting women together. It's like a pastime of mine. I just like enjoy so much. So. Yeah, those are my most like fun memories, I think. I guess funny things might have happened during them, but yeah, that's most fun for sure.
Those are great. Definitely stepping outside of the box is always a good way to go.
Yeah.
Well, those are all my questions. Do you have anything else you want to add, or any last pieces of advice for the girls?
Figure out what makes you the most happy right now and go and do that. I used to think I wanted to be a software engineer, and then I was going to become a product manager, and then I was somehow going to become the CEO of Google, and it was like a really thought out, like well-conceived plan. And then I like discovered my love for entrepreneurship and for Holdette. So I would say like be open, but follow where your heart leads. You have so many options when you're that age, and even as you get older, there's so many different paths you can take. And I think a lot of times, especially if you go to like a competitive college where there's like a lot of pressure, there's like, okay, my career options are like go into tech, go into business, go into communications, thing. And then you like forget that people like, like farm like sheep in like Iceland and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things you can do that like don't close yourself off. Like, figure out all the things that interest you, continue to explore. Take a gap year and go like make pasta in Italy. You know what I mean? Like the world is literally your oyster. So don't put yourself in a box that you don't want to be in, that, you realize like 3 years into it, you're like, wait, I don't ever really want to do this, and now this is my job. So that's what I just love about Holdette. It's like every day I get to wake up and work on something that is mine. And I think that works for some people. I think some people, like having the structure of like an existing company, but just figure out like what it is for you, and follow, your path, not somebody else's. So I think that would be my advice.
Wow, thank you so much. That was, everything. That was just the best advice ever. I hope all the girls take it to heart.